Hey,
Hey, something is not right.
what's wrong?
I heard it clank, and now you look totally tilted on the left side.
Our first Florida State Park campground back from Canada was perfect. We were able to see the boys, we did hikes, I saw all sorts of wildlife, but believe it or not, I was actually looking forward to going to 1,000 Trails Campground, our next campground, because, well, I wanted a really nice long hot shower and time to work on my next video, which was Payne's Prairie hiking. Those videos I really love to do, but we never made it out of the campground.
This is our broken suspension story. It's all about what happened with our suspension and a broken leaf spring, which now we learn is pretty common. We got so lucky that this did not happen out on the highway. We're going to go over what happened, how we fixed it, and how we can keep it from happening to you.
Glad to see you guys come back, but if you just found us, I'm Alice.
And I'm Larry.
And we're Downsizing Makes Sense like the penny. We are two 50-something empty nesters who went full-time mid-February in our Grand Design with our two pups so we could live life more deliberately. This whole thing actually took a week to get resolved, but we're going to try to sum it up quickly for you so it'll help you. This is what happened. We were leaving Payne's Prairie. I was in the follow-behind car. And Larry turned a corner and I heard this bang, pop, whatever sound. And all of a sudden the RV leaned. I was like, oh no. So I called Larry on the phone with those dreaded words, something is not right. And believe it or not, I actually had my GoPro going because I was going to use it for my Payne's Prairie video. And now we're using it for this.
Now, I also heard a loud popping sound coming from the RV, but that happens all the time when we travel, and I kind of just blew it off. But then I saw the phone ringing right after that, and I started to be concerned it was something more serious, so I pulled over to check it out.
It's better to be safe than sorry. I am so glad Larry took it seriously and pulled over because, you know, it could have been much worse. But at this point, I was still hoping that I was just being overly cautious.
Now, the first thing I did was go to the back of the RV and see if it was leaning to the left, like Alice said, and it was. Now, the combination of that loud sound and the leftward lean made me immediately suspect a broken suspension component. So the first thing I did, got my GoPro because we are YouTubers. I slid into the right side of the RV to take a good look at the left leaf spring, and sure enough, very obvious snapped leaf spring.
So I really didn't want to hear this, that the leaf spring was broken and it wasn't safe to go back on the road. And here we are on the side of the road, inside the campground. What are we going to do now?
So now that we know it's serious and unsafe to drive, so what do I do now? Do I call a tech and have them come out and fix it right there on the road? Nope, because they'd be blocking the road for hours, and it's Friday night. Forget about trying to get a mobile tech to come out on a Friday night. I took another look at the damage and decided, let's just limp back to the campground, see if we can get one more night's reservation at Payne's Prairie and give us enough time to make repairs. The RV was leaning pretty heavily to the left, but the broken piece of the leaf spring was supported by the frame, making it stable enough for us to kind of limp back to the campground. The camp ranger was very sympathetic to our problem and was able to give us one more night at the campground using their unreservable spots that they keep for emergencies.
We booked the site through Monday, which eventually wound up being through Saturday, which we'll explain later. We settled in, we started calling all sorts of RV repair guys, mobile guys, and I went online to 1,000 Trails. I was able to change your reservation, which that wound up being like a whole nother week. I'll explain that later.
I started to prepare to do the job myself just in case we couldn't get somebody to do it for us. I knew I'd need at least jacks and jack stands to support the RV and to take the wheels off. So I headed down to my local Harbor Freight Tools store to estimate what it would take to do the job safely. Now, a couple of bottle jacks and 2 jack stands were going to cost me $150 to $200. I have all the other tools necessary like breaker bars, torque wrenches, and sockets.
Well, Larry was out shopping. I got on social media, and one of the great places was the Grand Design Solitude Facebook group. I got a lot of information there. And at first it was like, oh, it's an easy fix. It won't take long. And I was like, awesome. And then some people said, hey, we just replaced the whole thing. Yeah, but that's expensive. And I would love to do that. But the MORryde suspension, whatever, you know, is expensive. But I'm telling you, if you see that option to upgrade, it's like an 8,000 pound suspension something option you can get on Grand Design. I suggest you do it, man, because it's worth it.
They're basically saying instead of the 7,000 pound axles, go for the 8,000 pounds, or get those MORryde independent suspension because that's the bomb, but only for rich people.
What he said.
Now, I ended up not doing the job myself because Al's convinced me to let the pros do it. Also, I didn't want to spend the money on the tools, and we had this wholesale warranties contract. We spent a lot of money for it. We wanted to use it.
Yeah, so Wholesale Warranties actually contacted us. And I think it's because I hashtagged a bunch of posts. And, you know, let me tell you, I did that because of our broken slide video, and they denied us then. But I was going by the book. I went on their website, I scrolled down, I found the pros that they say we're supposed to use, and those guys never even got back to us. And, you know, Wholesale Warranties, it's like pulling teeth.
So far, it looks like Wholesale Warranties is going to pay for the service call and the spring, but they're not going to pay for the U-bolt kit because they say that's not necessary. Minus, of course, the $100 deductible. Now, deja vu back to our broken slide story. The CEO of Wholesale Warranties asked us to give him a second chance. Now, watch out for a follow-up post to see if Wholesale Warranties does pay up.
Yeah. I contacted Grand Design at first just to get the Lippert Leaf Spring part number, but then I started emailing them back and forth, and then we've been in touch with them. And I suggest you always get a hold of your RV manufacturer directly, because you never know, they might be able to help you.
Even if your RV is out of warranty.
Yes. I also started a service chat with Lippert, the manufacturers of the axle
system,
which is the leaf spring and the other stuff underneath. Okay, and through lots of emails, they told me as an act of goodwill that they were authorized to give us a couple leaf springs and bolt kit. But then I explained we don't feel safe and we want to replace all 4 leaf springs. And guess what? They're like, bam, they're sending us 4 leaf springs and some kits. So that's pretty awesome.
That is pretty. Everything, all the parts that we'll need to do the replacement.
Yeah. Because no other repair guy got back to us. I left messages, emails. I told Larry, hey, let's call Campers Inn RV because they're the ones that fixed our bedroom broken slide.
Now, I called the Campers Inn Mobile Tech Division in Ocala, which is like 50 minutes from where we were. First, to ask them if they'd make it to our location. Second, if they could replace a spring on a 5th wheel. Now, these guys were very knowledgeable. After I explained the details of our problem, they said they'd be happy to come fix our RV as soon as they could source the part. Now, I had already ordered the leaf spring part from camperid.com, but it wasn't going to get to us until Thursday or Friday. Remember, this is Monday. Now, Campers Inn was also able to source the part from a warehouse in Virginia, but they also weren't going to be able to get it till Thursday or Friday. So it's Monday. We're going to have to wait all week to get this thing fixed.
So now you know why I had to keep changing reservations at Thousand Trails and why Larry had to keep changing and adding days at the state park.
At this point, we know more about RV suspension systems and leaf springs than we care for. Between social media posts, the Lippert website, and YouTube videos, we had spent hours researching to have the best possible resolution.
Yeah, I mean, before this, you know, Larry said that we broke a leaf spring. I was like, what the heck is that? But now I know exactly what it does, what it's supposed to look like, and how often these things actually break. More importantly, you need to keep extras.
Definitely keep extras. The tech at Campers Inn was concerned about doing this job at our campsite because using jacks and jack stands on unstable ground could be unsafe. Now, I told him that we could move the RV very slowly over to the overflow parking area so it's paved and they'd have lots of room to do the repair.
Yep.
Okay, it's Thursday morning and Alice asks,
Is our leaf spring in yet?
I'm like, are you kidding? It's only 9 o'clock in the morning.
I know, but come on, it's Thursday and this all started Friday before and I'm really getting nervous. And I'm like, can you call Campers Inn and just ask them if it came in? He's like, they'll call. And I kept bugging him, I kept bugging him. So he finally called and guess what? It was in.
Bam.
They didn't call us, but it's in. And we were scheduled for Friday morning to be fixed. Yes.
Bam. Okay, here it is, Friday morning, and we get up early and get the RV all packed up, and we drive the RV very slowly over to the overflow parking lot. Now, Tom and Steve, the mobile techs from Campers Inn, showed up right on time. They got right to work. They jacked it up, took off the wheel, pulled the spring off that was broken, put the new one on, and believe it or not, they did that in like 30 minutes. These guys did it like they had done thousands of these things.
They probably have. These guys rocked. I was so impressed. And I'm sorry, I'm glad that we had the pros do it.
I could have done it.
So here we are at our Thousand Trails reservation a week late. This is actually the same day we just got the leaf spring fixed. And that stress is over. But like I said, it's the same day and we're trying to get this video out. That's on us. But the good thing is I took a super, super long hot shower. It was awesome.
Yeah, I was able to take hot showers over at the state park campground because I can use the bathhouse, but somebody doesn't use the bathhouse.
Being full-time in an RV does mean you can stay at beautiful campgrounds longer than, just on weekends. But it also means your house is on wheels and stuff's gonna go wrong, and it has. Boy, has it. So Larry, what have we learned?
Well, first is carry extra leaf springs. I know that from now on, no matter what rig we have, we're gonna carry at least one extra leaf spring with us. And I suggest if you're an RVer, you carry one too. Second is know your weight. We actually weigh our rig all the time. I think we've weighed it 5 times this year. And we do it every time we make a significant change to what's on board the rig. We weigh it just to make sure we're not overweight. As a matter of fact, I even weighed it today after we had the repair. I want to make sure I hadn't been overloading the axles, and sure enough, we're at 11,900 pounds on 14,000 pounds of axles, so we were good to go. Now, the other thing is the Lippert website was an awesome resource throughout this problem. It really gave me all the part numbers and descriptions and things like that that I needed to know. So know your manufacturer, but know your manufacturer's parts companies also. They're a great resource. Alice, what did you learn during all this?
Well, I learned that social media actually can be supportive. The Grand Design Solitude Facebook group was amazing. There was actually this guy that said that he would overnight us a leaf spring when we were in need. We had already ordered some, so we wound up not needing that, but that was pretty amazing.
I was blown away by that guy's offer.
And then the other thing I learned, well, actually I already knew this, it's go #Team Alice, because follow behind car saved our butts. It could have been so much worse if I didn't catch it because I was following behind in the car. The other thing is go ahead and contact your RV manufacturer or maybe the parts manufacturer directly, like I did with Grand Design and Lippert, because see what happened? Lippert, is helping us out a lot.
Now, I also learned that these Florida State campgrounds actually hold a couple spots that are unreservable, and they kind of use them in emergencies like this, which is pretty awesome. I also learned that it's also really important to get to know your campground host. These people have actually hard jobs and all they get is just a campsite. So get to know them. our campground hosts, Jimmy and Trina,
Yes.
were really helpful and super supportive throughout this entire saga.
Thanks, guys. And one more thing, you're probably not going to get a mobile RV repair guy on a Friday.
Yeah, so don't break down on Fridays.
Yeah, if you could help it. So just like in our broken slide video, there are heroes and there are zeros. So Larry, and he didn't know I was going to ask this. What are your heroes and zeros?
You know, I don't really think I have any zeros in this. I think we have a lot of heroes. We have Campers Inn, definitely top of the list in the heroes. Those guys really blew me away how good they were at their job. And just arranging it, working with wholesale warranties, they were awesome. Both the people at the home office and the two guys that came out were great. You know, Lippert came through and gave us 4 springs.
Yeah.
And we'll see if Grand Design is going to help us out anymore.
Okay, you're actually going to be surprised who my heroes are. I'm surprised. First off, the Florida State Park Paynes Prairie, they were awesome. Come on.
Yeah, that's true.
We didn't have a spot and we were stuck. And we stayed over our 14 days, which you're supposed to, and they gave us an exception and they let us stay as long as we needed to. We kept delaying and delaying, and they were super cool. So heroes, Florida State Parks. Also, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, 3 Flags. They are Thousand Trails, but they were so cool. Every time we called, and I'm like, oh my God, we got to delay it again. I'm so sorry. And we had a bunch of packages waiting for us last Friday when we thought we were going to be here. And they were like, no problem, we'll put them aside.
Yeah.
So, you know, to me, they're kind of like my surprise heroes.
Yeah.
And I don't know, zeros, you know, the fact that we had to fight with wholesale warranties and we're not even, you know, we're waiting to see if they actually do pay. I guess that's a follow-up post.
I think they're going to come up with the money this time. I think we're going to have a good result with wholesale warranties, but stay tuned for that one.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for watching our broken suspension story. Hopefully, our pain will be your gain. Now, have you have an RV? Have you broken your suspension? Have you broken a leaf spring? Please share your story in the comments so everybody else can benefit from that.
You can also leave comments on our YouTube community page and on our Instagram and our Facebook page, because all those comments can help others.
Now, if you like this kind of content, we do campground tours, RV DIY, broken stuff. If you like that kind of content, please consider subscribing to our channel to a link down here. Yeah. I'm also going to leave a link over here for something for you to check out next. And remember,
downsizing still makes sense.